it out. I'll check it out.
Donkey. Why would this window not be working? There we go. Come, my beautiful soul. Right. You can see my screen there. Is it too small? Working.
It's working.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Build a better budget. Protect your path to your CGI goals. Now, beautiful people, what I want to say here is that this is probably one of the most sensitive topics for people to attend to. It is the hardest thing for people to sit down and write down the actual numbers of what they are spending. And what I have found is that in conversations, when traditional agents from a traditional brokerage comes over to Keller Williams, it takes time. That tradition, transition on mindset to now build that budget and not to live from transaction to transaction. And I'm going to give you examples because then I'll ask in the recruiting conversation, please talk to me, how much did you earn last year? Rolo, I'll have to go and have a look, but I think that's something you should know, your gross commission income, right? In Keller Williams, we don't work on that portion that goes into your bank account when you were the traditional agent, argumentatively. And this is what I love in the recruiting appointments when I do the hands and I do, okay, so when you worked for that other company, you were on a 50-50, maybe a 60-40 split. Here's my story. Okay. Whatever split, there is the traditional company. Then I take this hand, the tax man, off. So on a good day, you probably on R1 million gross commission on a traditional model, going home with just over 300,000, maybe 350, 360. How scary is that? That in R1 million portion, you probably just walk away with 1/3 of it. And now, when you've got the income, the opportunity of maximum income at your 92% once you've done your capping, right? We need to put those numbers in perspective so that we can understand how to get there. We did the 6 personals 2 weeks ago to get your head in the game so that you can understand. It's almost like you're a grown up, you're a CEO, you're a business owner, right? There's certain responsibilities and things that needs to get done on a daily basis if you are a business owner. Okay. Then we did last week the 135 and the 411. That's your business plan. That's your map. How are you going to get to that number? Yesterday we discussed it again in Ignite that by last night when you went to bed, you should know your numbers of what you want to achieve, so that when it gets to the 25th of the month, I can say, now gross commission income, X listings, X this, X that. And it becomes, you know, how can I say it? It's almost like the moment the numbers is your breakfast and you are aware of your numbers. And when you go to bed, when you do your cash up, it's almost like it becomes obsessive that number starts haunting you at 4 o'clock in the morning. CEOs do lie away at 4 in the morning, worrying and thinking about where's everything going to come from. So it's not an unusual exercise if you are experiencing that. Ne? I always make the joke when it gets to this sort of month end things, and I always say, please, can the world just excuse Rolo for a day or two? I'd like to just go and sit on a clip, and I want to be a child. I don't want to be a grown up with grown up responsibilities. Learn to love the MREA budget model and the tools of the career growth initiative and the plan and your plan, your big plan for your business and your big life in 2022. So here I have the MREA and it's available. And so I've got the one, I don't know if you can see on the screen there, but I've got the one with the tags of the different models. And that is what I love about our planning for the year, because we're kicking off with this Tuesday training to get the momentum going. And then we've got Ignite to just go back to those basics, to touch. Then we're going to have the MREA 24 topics. Then we're really going to dive into this book and dissect every little bit that it's offering. Now, just for, if you want to make a note there to go and look at it again, the budget model in the MREA starts at page 153. Now, if you're following in the manual, I am I just want to go back to page 3. The question is always that financial health. And that's why so many people resist this conversation, and so many agents start this, and then one day, and when they put it all in perspective, then they realize, oh my word, what do I need to do to change this? Because the flow of my money is not adding to the lifestyle I'm leading. And that's where credit cards and debt become a thing. Financial health, it's got a lot of things and a different meaning for a lot of people. But money is the only thing that makes the world spin, is most that saying. Or money is the only thing that can move a country's boundaries, if I can say it like that, right? Opportunity and growth, if it's not happy and it's not happening. If you've got financial pressure, it reduces your effectiveness. Let me tell you that I've seen it so many times, that emotional and that rational, your E and your R, if it's not in balance, okay? It steals time because it's got that monkey mind. It creates unneeded stress. And the moment you're not aware of every cent and where it's going and keeping every cent accountable in your business, it becomes expensive. And yeah, I want to just remind you, whatever we do today in real estate only shows up 90 days later. So if you are still paying 1,000 Rand a month on your bank charges and you're not always aware of that, that is a good starting point to either change bank or talk to your bank. When the money is there and we are aware of where the tipping point is and where all our money is going to, it's stress-free. It's better. We get up better in the morning. The mind doesn't make those noises. It allows us to take advantage of opportunity, because then when we see opportunity, we are so smart in knowing our numbers and our budget that we can capitalize on it. It frees you up to do more. I love that saying. There comes a point in your life where you don't have to work for money, but your money starts working for you. And it prepares you for challenging times. Because I've had this conversation in the past week with agents where a deal has fallen through. And the agent's reaction was immediately to me, Rolo, how we are going to pay the medical aid and how we're going to eat, I don't know. And then I thought by myself, what would be the next answer? And it's purely because we banked so much on it, we forgot the activity to keep going in the production. And then December happened, and it was a slower momentum to get going as we went into January. And then that's where the pitfall now came, and that's where the cash flow then changed. We've done this. Begin with the end in mind. Again, your CGI is very, very important. You want to know, what is that profit number? So that I can know how many appointments I'm going to need, listings, and then obviously the conversions. Set a profit goal. Meet with your with Heather and me if you're still struggling to use it either on Edge or on Agent Toolkit to calculate what is my profit, what is my tax, put my cap in, the company dollar, my monthly expenses. Now, monthly expenses, and that's where we're going to break it down in this conversation. In Keller Williams, and you're going to hear me say it a couple of times today. In Keller Williams, we refer to 30, 30, 40. What does that mean? 30% cost of sales, 30% fixed expenses, and 40% net profit. Then you're building a massive business. I have broken it all down for you. Don't panic about it. What the CGI calculator reveals: your profit, your tax, your cost of sales based on your average sales price and your commission. And that's why it's so important that you keep track of your activity on a daily basis, that production, because that production scale shows us immediately when something is down, what the implication will be on your financial well-being over a period of time. And that's where the true cappers that has been in Keller Williams for quite some time really know their numbers and what their lead conversions must be, so that I take that mandate because I know I'm going to convert it. This is the implication on my cash flow. Okay. Your expenses. And you know exactly what your expenses is because you get those SMS debit orders that are going off. Here's the scary thing. Where's the slips? When was the last time you printed your bank statements and worked like an accountant from the bank statements? There again is an example of a calculation. Your profit goal, what your tax would be, your cost of sales will be your cap and your royalties. And then your expenses would be that salary that you're drawing for yourself a month on your expenses. On the manual, once you set your CGI calculator, you know your estimated taxes and your sales and your expenses, how will you build your budget to protect that profit goal? Think about it. How am I going to now build that budget? And that's where the 30, 30, 40 comes in. And that's the amazing thing about Keller Williams. I've got an answer for everything. I'm going to show you the tools. So what is a budget? It's a high level look at your spending. It highlights the area where you focus and attention will pay the highest dividends. Hold your money accountable to the results. Why are you in business? Why did you start this? For every rand you're putting in, you're getting a rand back. Let me think about it. Not. Time over task, it doesn't make sense. Oh, I've read that from the, there's the budget. A high level look at your spending. And a stupid question, like groceries. Groceries is a sensitive topic in an agent's life. Because once you calculated what their hourly rate is and they start running around in checkers for 2 hours on a Thursday morning, the hourly rate goes, and even there goes the budget. And then we gejaagd, and now we're running, and we forget to look at brand awareness, and we forget to look at pricing, and we even forget at buying bulk 3 for 2 or those. I'm sure most of you do. Listen, how can I explain this to you? How does my life work in budgeting in this household? Yeah, Heather always laughs when I say to us, we've done the macro exercise again. And then we look like one of these Mozambican buckies that are coming back from macro. Because I was an apartheid jare baby, so I wrote matric in 1994, 5, ne? So and that was sort of the end of it all. And in those days, coming from a very Afrikaans family, my mother believed that you had een in die kas, een in die bus, and one to go. So I don't know what it is in English, but there's three always in circulation of everything, and that's really by keeping your eye on your budget and be aware of levels the whole time. So the 4 MREA models, very important. I am on page 6 if you're following as well in the manual. So there is the 4 models, And you are going to hear this a couple of times in your career life where they ask you, so what is the four models of Keller Williams? The economic model, the lead generation model, the budget model, the organizational model. What does that mean, actually? The economic model is where we show you how your flow of money, your budget is, setting up what's going to happen. Your lead generation model is exactly dissecting how many contacts, quality of contact, and how can I convert it into money. Organizational model, page 193 in the MREA, is going to be showing you how are you going to grow the organogram in your business, a typical Keller Williams team. And what we've seen mostly in South Africa happen is people build a 5-level team. The first two things you do when you are reaching that level and you've capped in your money, you are too busy that you can't get to the groceries and the post office, is get an admin, extension of one arm. Then another admin, extension of another arm. The one admin will be doing all your lead capturing and listings. The other one will be doing all your transaction coordination argumentatively. Then you're going to get a buyer's agent, a waitress. That is the easiest thing to explain it to people, because here's the flow of the mug and bean. Somebody must be the CEO, the decision maker. No business will survive if it doesn't have an admin system. Then you need a baker, somebody to make the muffins and the coffee. That is when you're going to get a listing assistant. But until that day, you are the baker, because you can't appoint a baker if you can't do it yourself. Then the first thing after the admins is you start getting waitresses, buyers agents. They are employed by you. They work for Runel Realty. They do what you say from 8 to 5. Poppy, I love you so much. You see that 5 listings? This is what you do. When the phone ring, you meet the client at the front door. And this is the way when you walk. When you get to the ugly painting, you look to the left and then you smile and you love the sliding door. Remember, Poppy, it is not so much just a stove. When you get in the kitchen, you get excited about the agar gas, argumentatively. That's what your organization is going to grow into. Does that make sense? The explanation of a 5-level team, page 193. Anybody want to ask me a question about the 4 models there? But now in the new MREA that's coming out, there is a 5th model, the expansion model. I cannot wait for us to now be final. Look, we've been trained on it, but we're going to start It's big implemented in the States. Yet in South Africa, there's limited numbers of people that are doing us at that expansion moment. Expansion means whatever you've built, you're going to build another one for wealth, and you're going to duplicate your business. So I want to stick to today the MREA economic model. There it is. What comes in, what goes out, and what's left over. There is an example of the 30-30-40 that we've broken it down. We're going to discuss what we are putting under operating fixed expenses and what we are putting under cost of sales to get to that net of 40%. So the MREA budget model has got 3 rules when you work your budget. Lead with revenue. Okay. You want to lead with revenue as your financial motto. Okay. So whatever you think, how am I going to do this, or what is in it for me, or what is my hourly rate? Yesterday I mentioned you're just not going to drive for a light that 10 kilometers up and down anymore. You need to become aware of where the flow of the money is going to, and always have the argument. And that's what I love about the tools like Lightstone and Google Maps and those sort of things that are available. You're not gonna drive to a listing that you can already see and hear in the conversation. This client is in the wrong direction. This is not going to fit. It's not going to sell. I'm not going to make money from it. Sean had a case yesterday where he went to a listing. What was sent to him and what was given to him, and the fact on the Lightstone, but it's amazing hotspot location. Shame he came back and he said, the only thing that sells it is the location, but the rest of it is a dump. Okay, luckily the price is going to work out. Play red light, green light, okay? Oh, I've got a note here in my red book because I want to discuss this out of my red book where it says here, the basic idea is to try to spend only money that your business has generated. So if it's not in that account, you're not spending it. Hear me out. Nee? Here's another note. Don't buy cars. Cars is the worst investment in the world. The first thing, and I always see it with the agents, listen, when they're on that capping and they're going, that old Ford 1x1 that has done the odd little job. I understand if you're selling luxury and you don't arrive in a Porsche or in something grand, the customer's probably going to think, well, how can this one make you sell here and make so much money, but it's buying in a Skoro car? But please, the moment that there's financial growth, don't buy expensive cars, okay? And here's the other thing. Don't borrow money to make money is another note here when I say lead with revenue. Play red light, green light. And my note here is called Dragon's Den. And why I made this note here on Dragon's Den is, and you've heard me say this before, when we started this journey as Manda Properties powered by, okay, we knew the conversations are going to change every 90 days, but we are already discussing things, starting with the end in mind, the day we're going to go into Dragon's Den, 1,000 days from now. They say it takes 1,000 days to survive in a new business and to say whether you've made it or not. Well, guess what? 1,000 days is 3 years. And if you play red light, green light, you're creating a habit, okay? So that the day we walk in there and we print everything and we can say, this is our expenses. That's why we've been managing it. That's why you need to put 100,000 pounds into the business. So over time, be prepared to invest money back into your business to build it. It is not the spending of money that is the problem. The problem is holding the money you're spending accountable for the results. Hoor gou weer. The problem is holding the money you're spending accountable for the results. Dustbins, bus stops, huge billboards. That's the entrepreneurial agent, doesn't get to purposeful. It's got all the dustbins, it owns everything in the suburb, doesn't make a sale. Great on the phone because it's not applying it all. I always joke in the back of my mind and say she must have a very rich husband that's financing all of that. So if you're going to pay for that 3,000 Rand dustbin on the corner, ask the question, what is my return? How many times a month does that dustbin ring? Bring me a lead. Okay. Here's another note. You want to concentrate on keeping your fixed expenses like rent, salary, leases as low as possible. Okay. It's don't throw good money at bad money. Be wise about that. Stick to the budget. Obviously, as your business grows from one stage to the next, your actual cost will be different. However, your percentages may not be. Budgets are to be respected, right? They are there for a reason to guide you as your investment in your business. And does that make sense? Anybody want to ask me anything about that? Is there lights going on? Right, I'm on page 8. The cost of sales and operating expenses, the 30/30 that we talk about. There it's very clear. Cost of sales is cost of making the sale, made up of commissions paid to the office, royalties, commissions and splits paid to team members involved in the sale, referral fees. There's the 100. You worked for that entire 100, but there's pieces of it going off. Cost of sales. Does that make sense? Where do we come with what gets categorized under cost of sales? Yes, your operating expenses, what we also call the fixed costs every month. Salaries. Now, that is your salary, and it will be the admins and the people in your business, right? Lead generation. Like an example would be like a Property 24 account. So in the States, in a traditional, pardon the pun, in their traditional market centers in America, is what I want to say. They pay for leads. Like Zoopla is one of the, like a private property, Property 24. But the offices in the States bill them for every little thing, the leads that were generated, which is a fixed expense every month. Another lead generation expense would be the billboard, the dustbin, the radio ad. Rent. Rent will be what you're paying for that space where the team is. Or if you're working from home in your environment, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it's 30% of your total amount that can go to taxes being seen as an office space. Or two. That car payment goes off every month. Insurance. If you don't have insurance, you understand what's happening. Just another thing in my preparation for this that I want to mention under insurance is, guys, that third-party insurance, third-party liability insurance, just a reminder about it. It's a very cheap insurance that you do take it out, and just make it clear that it is purely because you're a commission earning estate agent. I'll tell you why. Client slips and fall. You drive, or the client drive into you, you drive into the client. Those things happen. I'm not scaring you. I'm just a realist about what your insurance should look like. Marketing. So marketing would be that Saturday that you've spent at the event under the gazebo. It's cost you 300 for that day there. The bottles of water you're handing out, the pens during registration. Education. What you are spending on your NQF4, the printing of it, the sessions, the etc. Okay, equipment. There are people that are running big teams, and then they've got the machines that they've got rentals on, or they've got computers rentals on, purely because they do print pamphlets. I know of so many agents that are still using somebody over weekends at the stop street handing out drops argumentatively. Anybody want to discuss the operating expenses? They I have discussed that. I read it off the manual. Should I go back to the slides? If you're not following on the manual, I read it from the manual. Apologies. There's the cost of sales again on the slides. Commission, royalties, referral fees. There's the fixed operating expenses, the other 30%. And remember, I said it earlier as well. That's why we're referring to the 30, 40 is that as your business grows from one stage to the next, your actual costs will be different. However, your percentages may not be. Okay, so on page 157 in the MREA, I just want to say the percentages of what that 30% of fixed expenses is broken down into more detail, what your telephone percentage of the amount must be. We will look at that just now. So build your budget. Use a profit and loss statement, also known as like your income statement. And it's simple. What is the income? What is the expenses? And what is the profit? Now, I want to just stop sharing this screen. Can you see the agent cash flow screen there?
Yeah, it's quite small, but we can see it.
Okay. Hold on. Better, Heather?
Yeah, that's better.
Awesome. Thank you. This is available in your production folder. If you want a copy of it, email, pop us a message, and we'll get it off to you. Now, hear me out. This is South Africanized, number one. Number two, it is cut up in kind of that 30-30 expenses at this point of time. This is probably one of the hardest documents for people to complete, because that's when that thing goes on like, oh my word, is it possible that I'm spending so much money in my life? How does the sheet work? All you can do is go and change the date there. Don't start there. You change the dates there to January if you want to, or start from December or even November last year and work from your bank statements. Now, guys, what I have seen, work with an individual agent before you become a PTY or a CC or a team. Have, when the money is there, maybe another savings account that you sort of pay a salary to yourself, and keep one account as clean as possible for your business to create the habit of learning to work from the bank statements. Right. So in here, you're going to put, okay, Soul Road, I did a deal on, and the transfer is going to come through in February, and the amount I'm going to get is 85,000 Rand. Okay, you see the top line, it's already changing. Then I did another sale, let's call it 16th Road. And that is going to register in April, and it's 50,000 Rand. See, the top line is changing. Okay. Then my growth share that I'm going to earn, my company dollar share, maybe rental income. I mean, we've left it all in there so that, and again, this sheet is a baseline to get you on with a conversation, right? Your bond commissions or whatever might come in there. Let's say that thing registered in February, end of February, and then on that thing, you got bond commission of 1,800 Rand, argumentatively. Changes the whole time. Then it shows you your total cash, the total income, profit and loss statement that we've had. Okay. Look what it says here. What is my monthly fees with Keller Williams? It's 1,000 Rand. We're not going to have an increase. So I might as well, because that fixed expense is not going to disappear, right? So let me pull it through. Come on. Okay. So there's the 1,000 Rand. I've budgeted for it. What is your, and then what the sheet is, we've done it for personal expenses and business expenses, just so that you can start capturing it. Eventually, it either elaborates or some of it disappears in the process. Okay. Then I'm going to put in here, okay, the rent that I'm paying is my 5,000 Rand. That 5,000 Rand doesn't disappear. I've been living there since April last year. So that's going to be 5,000 till April, and then I'm going to have an increase. Then it becomes 1,500. Okay. So let's pull it through. My car payment is 3,800. That's not going to change for the year because without a car, I can't go anywhere. So let's pull that through. The insurance with your third party argumentatively 1,322. That has to be paid. I'm pulling it through. Medical aid. What is medical aid? Let's just give it amount 4,500 rand for now. I don't know. There's different packages. So let's pull that through. Petrol. I mean, surely you know my car does X amount of kilometers. Why do we put this petrol in? Because if your petrol is at 2,000 and your rent is at 5,000, we need to discuss your spreadsheet. There's a problem. But let's say 1,500. I mean, it's going up again. How many cents? I think it's, yeah. Wi-Fi, I know the fixed and phone, let's say that's 1,200 rand. These are still personal expenses. Remember in the CGI, when you do it on H, there's most that fixed monthly expenses. Now, this is where this is getting to. Okay, your cell phone, your subscriptions, I'm not going to put more. Marketing and boards, how much that you spent on it. Now, I've put round amounts in here. Hear me out? Every cent counts. So if your medical aid is 1,322 and 18 cents, then you put it like with 18 cents. Salaries, then that sort of admin salaries are going to come in. Your expenses is kind of for beginning covered in here. It will change more over to here where your salary and your admins, etc. Marketing and boards, advertising, accounting fees, bank charges. That's why I say go and count that little bank charges together on your little in your bank statement. You will be surprised. Computer expenses, EIAB, HOA registrations. There it's a nice line because that expense must come out. Remember, tax is part of the party. Calculate your taxes. Debt payments. Like I want to pay quicker my personal loan off or the children's school fees or whatever. Put those debt amounts in here if it's 4,000 rand. For an example, here you will see accounts receivable. So, every month, because we are revisiting our 135 and our 411, we're obviously going to revisit our cash flow on a monthly basis because we have to check our budgets the whole time, right? So if there's new accounts that came in, but you are okay that you can only pay it argumentatively in March, then that amount will go in there. Okay. Does this sheet make sense up to you, or do you want to interrupt me and ask questions?
No, Rolo, it's very explicit. Thank you very much. We would like to receive a copy.
Awesome. I'll do that. So hear me out what happens. Once we know all of these expenses and probables, because you would know when your boards are going to be broken. If you only have 10 boards and you need to budget again for it, then put. Because you don't want to get to that month and then there ain't no board, no business card. And remember, you can add to it. Watch what happens on the top line. Starts becoming minuses. I'm already on a minus 18 there, minus 40. At least I get money in, so I'm going to be able to cover the expenses at the bottom. Then I'm going to have 22 left. Then I'm going to be able to cover whatever still for March. April, I'm going to be okay. Then at least I get May, I'm okay. Look, then it becomes a problem in July because then I run into a minus. So this income, the more we put the transactions and the probable flow of the income, the sooner we will be determining where is your tipping line of your capping and when this is going to be affected by profit. If it's in a plus the whole time, it starts showing a profit. Does that make sense? How magic is this sheet? How powerful if you put it all in one sheet. Your thing is to flow the income here so that we can get to that, so that we can see your top line can cover the expenses, and then we will start showing that profit we want to create. Magic, ne? Look at that red line at the bottom. Keep in mind, consistency is critical. Can I please just tell you how many times I've seen the agents fill this in, and then they get busy with busyness and life is happening. And then they see, okay, that top line is showing a little bit more. They start adding expenses on the lines. Hold it out. 90 days. That's why we keep saying 90 days. If that extra rand is there, don't find a purpose to spend it. Hold it at least 90 days. I want to say this in Afrikaans. Iemand het eendag gesê, so it's like a parent, there's the story where the kid came to the parent and said to the parent, I've got this idea, so what, en die pa sê toe vir die kind, my kind gaan sit net daar en raak vir my rustig tot die pyn weggaan of die idee, nee? So this is what I want to say to you. The moment that it looks like there's extra money, I want you to go and sit down and the pain will go away. Don't worry about it. Build a budget to protect your profit. Begin with that blank. Nee? Look, there is the other MREA ones that you can download from the Keller Williams website, but it's very Americanized. And this is really the amazing thing is that, look, for every dollar sign there is on it, just change it into a rand sign and you're going to have the same effect. Great to see you come on call, Lydia. Môre.
Môre, ekskuus ek's bietjie laat.
Nee, is reg my skat.
Ek sukkel met die EIB.
Hulle is maar vir almal 'n nagmerrie hierdie tyd van die jaar nou dat daai nuwe woord Property Practitioners Act in die slaai gegooi is.
Ja, nee, dis wild.
Daar.
Maar ek is opgewonde met die kursus vanoggend. Môre almal.
Môre. Enter estimates for expenses. There. 30%. So, where am I getting to that? So once you start seeing the flow of the income at the top and you break it down, if it's 100, 30% to X, 30% to X, and 40% to profit. If that amount of your fixed expenses between the two red parts on that spreadsheet is becoming, more than 60,000 Rand, we're running into a problem already. Okay. Accounting software can make this so easy. Get into the habit to use that spreadsheet so you can see the flow of money of your entire business. What I'm very excited about, Heather is actually going today for the training, if I'm not mistaken. And Heather is playing a game, guinea pig for this, where we're testing a new software accounting system that is going to integrate with my Edge. So your transaction model in Edge is going to have the accounting package built in, and it's going to be unbelievable how that will be changing again the face of Keller Williams. Right. So here's some questions affecting your budgets as you're thinking about it. About the lead generation model. Should I buy that new shiny thing? How much can I spend on farming? What can I spend on touch campaigns and marketing? It's just referring to the dustbins. It is referring to the handouts, the magic that you make. And I want to always say to you is remember, entrepreneurial and purposeful, 6 personals. In the first 119 pages of the MREA goes all about mindset, getting into business, getting ready. And one of the stories I love that they refer to in those pages is that hobo house. You know, you are busy building that massive architectural design home at the moment called Runel Realty. People are going to arrive there and going to go, Madam has arrived. Love it. But proper foundations, little steps with a big plan. You don't want to get to windowsill height and then the front door's hanging. About the organizational model. Ooh. Do not appoint assistants because you're too lazy to lead generate. Am I ready for an assistant? How much can I pay an assistant? How much can I pay a buyer agent? The waitress that we discussed. Go to that spreadsheet. If there ain't no turning point, then there ain't no employment. Does that make sense? There's a couple of questions going to follow on in the next couple of slides about determine how much money you can spend on the expenses and helps you track your source of income. So the cost of sale examples, it would be your gross commission is at X, you haven't capped yet. So then you have to take your royalties, how much to cap, etc. If you had a split with another agent. So on the couple of next slides, and these are all in the manual. I don't want to spend too much time on these examples because there's so many examples in the manual and they're very self-explanatory. But stick to starting point is the cash flow spreadsheet. Is the one that really works well. Here's the one I want to go to. Why is it important to track the cost of sales? To know it costs each time you have a transaction. And it's important because, like I said a couple of slides back, when you started it all, you had the 100. It's all your 100. But there is expenses of that 100. And it's very important to always be aware of those expenses. The operating expenses. There is the little picture I was looking for. You can also get these expense detail on page 157. That portions in that spreadsheet that's under the red parts is exactly broken up under the suggested categories of the MREA. So of that 30% that is kind of allowed for those fixed expenses, each of those little things shouldn't make up more of that percentage. Does that make sense? So the salaries of the 30,000 cannot be more than the 12,000 or, the 12% of the 30,000. What would that be? God's truth, it's only 3,500 Rand or 4,000 Rand almost, okay? Your lead generation expenses. Now, the 9.2 is quite high in our environment because you get private property 24. There is still other things you're doing, you're spending on. Rent, education, your car payment. Look how low that car payment is. Scary. If you can work that 30 directly into these percentages or as close as possible, or start manipulating it to get it as close as possible to that, you will be double capping and you will be wealthy. That wealth expansion plan of yours has become a reality on that spreadsheet. Any questions on this? Is it very clear how we work our budget and where we want to get to in a Keller Williams business? I don't think my screen is clear enough there, but I am on page 14. So There's codes given for everything. There is the MREA profit and loss statement. Again, there is so many of the categories that you are not going to have in the beginning. Be aware, look at that page and make sure you capture that expense in the right bracket on your spreadsheet, so for the flow of your money. I'm not going to go into detail that because there's really a lot of examples that are also following. Bottom of page 14. Where would you account for purchasing a listing sign? What would it be? Advertising, lead generation, or other, or entertainment. So there is a couple of examples in the book. There it is. What would you account purchasing a listing sign for? Where would you account for the cost associated with renewing your license with the EAAB? Or in this case, it would also be your dues for HOA fees, Estate Agents Affairs Board, those. Where would you account for the cost associated with your assistant? Show house sitters is another example. Listing spotters, those kind of, where would those go in? Where would you account for the registration costs associated with family reunion? Where would you account for the meals and hotels associated with family reunion? If it was a physical environment and we all went to the Drakensberg, God's truth, where have we been? Drakensberg, we've been to Zululand, been to Belito, we've been to the Cape as well, Century City. There we go. Yes. So where would you account that for in your business? So once you've got really it worked out and you know X amount of appointments, X amount of listings is going to bring me X amount. Isn't it amazing how all of these numbers are getting together in Keller Williams? Isn't it just amazing that the numbers don't lie? The moment you've got it captured and you've got it calculated and it's visually in front of you, you're either going to have that thing about, oi, how am I going to get through all of this? Or it's going to give you a purpose and a realization of, Poppy, can't run for 500,000 Rand stands anymore. You need to run for 800,000 houses that can sell tomorrow. So please apply the percentages and use the estimates. That is an idea. And this is what I want to say to you is please speak to a tax advisor. Because we don't do your pay as you earns and all of that, you get your invoiced commission and they off you go, Bob's your uncle. But please speak to a tax advisor as well. Everybody's scenario is different in how much for X, how much for X. I know, you know, pay as you earns or tax for is 18%. But please speak to a tax advisor so that you are aware and that you structure everything from day one in the right way. It's very hard when you, as a commission earner and also sort of independent contractor to us, when it's tax season and you start running around, don't fall behind on these things. And it's scary when it's pay in time for people, because when they get that money in the bank account, they fight. They forget to take the 18% and hide it away for when it's pay time. Please be aware of it. Monthly tracking is very important. Use software. Like I said, we are busy creating it, but it's like your 135 and your 411. It has to be revisited. You're a grown-up. Like you're doing cash ups every day of your numbers and your activity, you're also doing cash up on your business at the end of every week, every second week, month, till you are creating that new habit. Somewhere in the process, it's going to overwhelm you. and it's going to feel like micromanagement, all these forms and things. And I use micromanagement just to pick a little bit on Runel. I'm sure you're laughing, Runel. But the trend report, it is on Edge. It is available in a spreadsheet. And you're probably thinking, Rolo, there is more sheets and things to track and to fill in. When do you want me to actually get on with the selling and what? Nee? It's not that. Once this is done, begin with the end in mind. Pardon the pun. Okay. Once all of this is done and it is set up, it is literally just go and sit that hour or 2 hours, capture it. It's not even a weekly thing. Some of it is weekly, some of it is monthly. It's nothing more powerful when you can see what has happened this month, what has happened next month when there's growth in production. If there's growth in your trend report, there's going to be growth in your bank account. Klar. They all go hand in hand together, but you have to follow the steps and do everything along the way and have to keep feeding it. Whatever you resist, persist. Because then they think, okay, now I've done it. All my 135, my 411, my cash flow, my budget is set up. Let's buy. 30, 60, 90. What do we do at the end of every 90 days, every season? We revisit, we relook, we shift, we move. Track your break even. There is the CGI tool. There is the spreadsheet available. It's simple. You fill in the numbers. But that agent cash flow, that break even is what we're referring to as when that minus is that plus, and that top line is busy changing all the time. And we can see there is a profit that we can start taking out for a wealth expansion plan. Does that make sense? That break-even point is very, very important because that also will show where the capping happens and the 92. Do you know that there's agents that work it out so nicely that the moment they've capped, they start putting money away. So when it gets to renewal, they just phone and go, here's your cap. I'm staying at 92. See you on the other side. Ne? Thought about that one. Know your score. Again, lead with revenue, play red light, green light, and stick to your budget. There's a lot of examples in the manual. Like I said, all the examples, I want to make sure I haven't missed anything. The percentages, that's also on page 157 in the MREA, is also on page 17. And not all of us are that great in doing these calculations. Times try so that, and then you need to cut it or make it bigger to be aware of these calculations. And the power of it is the day when we go into Dragon's Den. Page 18, we talk about tracking your monthly numbers and tracking your trends in your break-even point. Then we are on best practices on the last page, page 20 on the manual. So please talk to me. Did I miss something? Ask me any questions. I'm lacquer ahead of time because so that we don't, I want to keep it simple and compact so that we don't run too much over the hour and allocated. And this budget is as simple and as straightforward as what can be. Just a recap. Fixed expenses is 30%. Cost of sales is 30%. Net profit is your 40%. I'm going to quickly share the screen again. There are new people that came on the call. Please use this cash flow to get you into the habit to follow the cash, the flow of your money in your business. Lead with revenue, red light, green light. And there's a reason why a budget is there, because it has to be respected. And I understand the transition from traditional transition from traditional agent to now business owner and flow is not always but that easy. Once you get it and it's going, it becomes easier to keep every rand accountable. Do not spend money when that actual tipping point is there. Go and sit in the corner, the pain will go away. Only 90 days later are you allowed to have that thought again. There's your income is cut up at the top, because that should then create the flow when we get to that 40% net at the top. There in the red parts is that 30-30 that we're referring to, broken up into the amounts. Don't forget to put the pay as you earn or VAT or tax implication in, and make provision for debt payments, because the quicker you can pay your debt, the better. And then your accounts receivable. There's always that extra account, like a school fee or a this or a that or a thing that's going to come in at that point. You'll be quite surprised. And then make provision for that. Yes, Renee, please talk to me. Guys, share your ahas. Please talk to me.
I think that's a brilliant spreadsheet. I'd also like to have a copy of that. Next week's meeting, you've got it at 5 p.m.
Yes, please.
So it's not going to be 1 in the morning.
No. So next week, that's what I want to thanks for that, Renee, is next week we will be meeting at 5 and a little bit before that. Because we are doing shift, doing business in any market is the topic. So next week we're going to now go into, it's now the market is changing, it's 2022. What do you need to do to be geared and empowered so that you can enjoy the success into the winter? Why it's so exciting is my MAPS coach from America, Jessica Fox. She's going to lead the conversation with me. And I think it's the biggest gift I can bring you in this Tuesday training is to have Jessica on the call. So she and I will have, run through the presentation and the training and the material. But there's also question and answers. And we will have market conversations about what is happening in South Africa and what is happening on their side. And I think it'll be great, the value she's going to bring. Yeah, I said to, I think it was Sean or Johan Gous or somebody the other day, that in South Africa, we've only tapped into 20% really of what Keller Williams is bringing. You're really going to love Jessica. So if you can really plan your lives to be on that call, I'll be very grateful. Any other ahas? Any other questions? Anybody want to share? What are they going to do next? Today is that spreadsheet that needs to happen. So it's the new month. It's the new beginning. And that's why I've planned this Build a Better Business for this 1st of February. Purely because we can't run into another month and not know medical aid is X at an X amount of cents. Make a line there and plan provisionally for some groceries as well. You'll be surprised how we overspend on petrol and groceries. Credit card interest rate. Discuss it today with your bank. Restructure your interest rate on your credit cards or your loans, please. Believe you me, they do actually chat to you, and they actually do bring it down. So don't miss that opportunity to do it, because whatever we save today, remember, only shows up 90 days later in real estate. Any other asks? Any other questions? I will share the spreadsheet on the groupie. It is also available in the agent toolkit. Guys, I thank you for your time. Ignite is happening again tomorrow. And thank you for participating. Have a fabulous Tuesday. See you at the top.
Thank you, Rolo.
Thank you. Bye.